And hello, welcome to the ACC Gentle Yoga class. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour. We're in the community room, and we're continuing on with our practice we've been having for the last few weeks. Our warm-ups, our 3 walking meditations. We'll do a balance pose and make our way down to the floor for the cooling poses. We've been using the locust pose and bow, so if you'd like to use a strap to help you reach for feet, shins, ankles, have one nearby, and any other props that are your favorites. So we'll go ahead and start at the back, and we're giving ourselves just some time to arrive. Checking in, standing at the back of the mat, hips distance apart in our home base of mountain. Just notice the breath. Notice how the body feels. If the legs have been used during the week in a lot of activities, keep a gentle bend to the knees. Each time we return to our home base of the mountain, we get a little longer, a little taller. And as we stand, noticing the breath, we'll bring our left palm to rest on the chest, right palm under the belly button. Begin to breathe with a little more intention. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose, giving ourselves that pause in between each to complete a breath cycle. When we first start, it might be a short, maybe 2-3 second breath cycle. As we quiet down, especially at the end of cultivating this breath, we may find it's more like 5-6 seconds long for each breath cycle. We'll finish cultivating the breath connection by expanding the back of the throat. See if you can hear a deep sigh, sound of a wave. Help us cultivate that yogic breath. And we can rest our hands at our side, nice and relaxed. We'll go ahead and start connecting the breath and the body. Let's go ahead and inhale, feel that energy from the feet traveling up the body through to the crown of the head and beyond. And on the exhale, feel that same energy, reverse direction, rooting down at the feet. And just press in that belly button towards the spine at the bottom of the exhale. And then with the inhale, we can slowly start tipping our center of gravity towards the toes. At the end of that inhale, a tip feeling. And then we can start to exhale, bringing that sensation of moving the center of gravity towards the heels until we feel that tipping point once more. And then we can just explore that heel to toe alignment. We'll meet somewhere at the center, above the ankles. Settling into the mountain once more. Inhale, feel the uplifting feeling once more. And then exhale, roll the center of gravity towards the outer right edge of the feet. Fully exhaled here. Inhale to center. Exhale over to the other side. 3-part breath. Or just use each breath, inhale and exhale, to move from side to side. Feeling that center moving at the soles of the feet while the body is relatively upright. And once you identify the left and right sides of the feet, we'll go ahead and meet back at center. Reset the mountain once more. Inhale, lengthening a little taller in your mountain. And with that uplifted feeling at the crown of the head leading, we're just going to start making small circles at the ankles. Allow the circles to widen. Notice how it feels in the rest of the body. As your circle at the soles of the feet reach further and further out towards the perimeter. And once you get there, we'll start to tighten in the circles. And of course, we're keeping contact with the mat at all times. We're just feeling that subtle shift at the soles of the feet. Returning back to mountain. Settling in once more, reset if you need to. Inhale, nice and tall. And then small circles in the opposite direction, once more radiating outwards. Noticing any differences, how it's traveling in the entire body, though the movement is primarily at the soles of the feet, starting at the ankles. Once we get that perimeter in this direction identified, connected, then we can tighten in the circles. And like water going down a drain, meet back at center, somewhere above the ankles. Alrighty, I like to lift my toes. Sometimes I'm gripping the mat just a little bit as I reset and move through our mountains. Here we go. With the next movement, we're just basically moving, shifting our body weight from side to side. And as we have more of that momentum available, we may start to pivot out the toes. We may start to feel the bottom portion of our body from the pelvis down, moving a slight second faster than, say, the shoulders, the torso, so that we get a gentle ringing action at the waist. Just the movement of the torso against the lower half of the body, giving the arms maybe just some movement, momentum. And if you have a good deal of motion, your hands may gently tap at parts of the body. Be sure as you're moving, you lift the toes in the direction of the torso so we don't torque out the knee. And hopefully getting lubrication, major joints here. Alrighty, and then we'll let that momentum diminish so that we can return to our mountain. Bringing in the toes once more, heel to toe alignment, resetting our mountain. And then we'll move on up to the shoulders. Now at this point, see if you can, if you feel a tilting of the tailbone back and the hips forward, see if you can tuck under the tailbone, bring up the torso, see if we can sink it right above the pelvic bowl. You can bend the knees just a little more to help if you need. And we're going to face our palms forward so we can inhale, allow the shoulders to lift up. Exhale, roll them back and down. Total of 4 breath cycles here in our shoulder rolls. Inhaling them up, exhaling them back and down. Hopefully the bottom portion from the hips all the way down, supporting the body. If you feel a rolling out of the feet or rolling in, evenly balance the weight at the soles of the feet. We're going to have a second set. Inhaling the shoulders up, this time roll them forward and down. Still let the shoulder blades melt down the back. Those triangular shoulder blades, kind of like angel's wings, tucking in at the very tips into the mid-back. Using your yogic breath to help facilitate the movement. think I'm doing an extra one here. That's okay, I'll meet up with you. And at this point, we'll move on up to the head, the throat. Once more, feeling that lengthening of the base of our mountain. Inhaling, feeling the energy lifting up through the body, through to the crown of the head. Allow the right ear to exhale over towards the right shoulder. We have about a tennis ball size space between the shoulder and earlobe. And as you inhale, feel that lifting even at the chest. And then an exhale to help turn the gaze. The gaze just stops naturally. Don't force it. But even on, with the eyes, if you can rest your gaze to the rightmost of your vision there, in the next 3 to 4 breath cycles, we're hopefully tapping into our yogic breath to help us release on the left side of the throat, neck, jawline, temple. Having the eyes softly resting to the right side. By that 4th exhale, you may find it resting on the shoulder, behind the shoulder, or maybe just in front of the shoulder. After that exhale, inhale the eyes, the gaze, the crown of the head all the way back up towards the ceiling. So you could just dip with an exhale towards the left. Inhaling for length, exhaling to turn the gaze, and just let the yogic breath guide you to releasing on the right side. You want to keep each shoulder in line with one another, just as you would the hips, and that even distribution of weight at the feet. Just let the breath lead you to releasing the right side of the neck, the jaw, the eyes, the temple. And if the palms are facing forward, it just helps with the shoulders, keeping them open and away from the ears. With that last exhale, we can inhale the eyes, the gaze turns, and the crown of the head lifts at the top of the inhale so that the eyes can exhale, float all the way down to about the top of the mat, about 6 feet in front of you. Give yourself that chin to chest space and a slight tilt of the crown of the head on those inhales. Nice and relaxed shoulders, but a stable support column all the way down to the heels. And a soft gaze once more. See if you can feel the back of the neck, the base of the skull, relaxing with each exhale. And after that 4th breath cycle, exhale, we can inhale the eyes, back towards the center, past the center, up to the ceiling. Once you can see there, stop craning the neck and use the next 4 breath cycles to release from the temples, the brow line, the mouth, the jaw, your tongue. You can always open the mouth gently, widening the opening, letting the tongue loll out, maybe even sighing on the way. You can gently close the mouth and slide the lower jaw from side to side. Do what feels good to you. Sometimes you don't notice you're holding tension until you get there, until you're aware of it. With that last exhale, bring the eyes back to center. And just shake out any residual tension, activation of muscles. Notice what you've been holding on to. See if you can release before we move into the next pose. And here we're starting our walking meditation, starting with our folding forward folds. So if you have blocks nearby, you can put those in your hands to help walk your hands down. You can just have them down at your side. You can have them up at the front if you'd like a fold assist up there. But we're going to start by simply reaching downwards with our fingers, whether you have the blocks in hand or not. And then inhale, extending the arms upwards, lifting up the torso at the top, press down at the pads of the feet, and then exhale, engage the core and start to bring the hips back, the tailbone back, so you can hinge at the hips. You can bend your knees if you need, and with whichever speed that you need, you can float on down, you can walk the hands down, feel that hinging at the hips, and help the upper body just fold. You might have a really tight lower body, lower back, so give yourself some time. You can have the upper body help supported by forearms on the thighs while your back starts to unfold and release. But we want to keep that hips to heel stability, so make sure you've got that even distribution of weight supporting you more at the top of the ankles there, all the way up to the hips. And we're here for about 5 breath cycles. Nice and slow. Let the yogic breath help you to release every deep inhale, bringing energy into the body. Every deep exhale, slowly through the nose, either way, helping to release, maybe through the lumbar area, keeping the arms as relaxed as possible, wherever they may be. And eventually we're getting more of the crown of the head oriented towards the mat, but it may take a while. More of the chest towards the thighs, but again, it may take a while. As you approach the very last breath cycle, we're going to think about how we're exiting from our ragdoll. With a slow inhale, we're going to press into our feet, engage our core. That includes firming up the legs, the thighs. We're going to roll up one vertebra at a time. We may need our hands to help walk up, but try to feel that load in the legs. Engage the glutes. And as we come all the way back up to standing, pressing into our feet, let the blood rush back to the head. And we'll try another fold. Reaching downward once more. Inhale, arms up. Engage the core. Keep a bend to the knees if you need. And start to hinge at the hips. Pressing down through the big balls of the feet there. Engaging the glutes, letting the torso get closer to the thighs, coming in for another fold. This time it's about 3 breath cycles instead. And you can do what feels good. You can bend one knee if you feel tightness in the legs. See if you can lengthen through the legs a little more, lengthening that same bent knee leg, then alternating with the other leg. You can swivel the hips from side to side. You can just hang on to your elbows. Give yourself just a little more weighted traction if you'd like. And you can also notice if you're holding on to the weight of your head. See if you can give yourself a gentle circular action with the head. Maybe a side-to-side no-like movement. An up and down, small, gentle movement of yes. And then see if that final breath allows you to release. And then inhaling, we're going to engage the core once more. You can keep a deeper bend to the knees if you need, or a slight bend, or just keep it nice and long. But let's bring our hands together, or walk the hands up if you'd like. Inhaling, coming all the way back up, dropping the tailbone if you need, and pressing through those legs, lifting all the way up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center, or if you have the blocks in your hands. We're going to start our walking meditation, bringing standing weight to the left leg. Find that stability before lifting the right heel on the inhale and lifting the foot forward. The higher the foot, the bigger the step, the more challenging the step forward. You can always walk in place as well. But once you step that leg down, engage that balance, and then inhale, lift the left foot up, bring it forward. And it's okay if you have to tap down or if you fall out, just come on back, but it's about 1 breath cycle per step. Go at your own pace. We'll meet at the top of the mat. For some, gently placing the heel down, the midfoot, and then the balls of the feet works for you. Sometimes just bringing the midfoot down first might be better. See what works. We want to feel that shift in the center as we're moving slowly, 1 full step per breath cycle. Pressing into the palms, engaging the core to help keep your balance. And at the top of the mat, we'll look down at the fingertips, pressing into the palms. Inhale, watch the fingers rise. And at the top, let's separate our hands. And then exhale, engage the core, bend the knees if you need, stick the tailbone back and fold. Come on down with your speed. If you like to fold, float down, walk the hands down. But try to hinge at the hips, try to feel that load in your feet, engaged glutes. And we're down for another fold. Wherever your hands may have contact, go ahead and lengthen with the inhale, the back. See if you can lengthen the legs a little more. And then exhale, fold once more. If you have the blocks, you can walk the hands down with the blocks, setting the blocks down. With the next inhale, we're going to step a foot back, another foot back. Come on down with your high plank method. Ideally, we're moving 1 leg at a time, but some of us in our practice might have to step a lot of times back. That's okay. Inhale, the shoulders over the wrists, come into a high plank, fingers splayed, and you can lower the shins, not directly on the kneecaps, but the shins. And if you can have your open ankles to help support the lower body. We're here for about 5 breath cycles, just trying to make adjustments as necessary in our highly modified high plank. We're feeling the majority of our upper body supported by these strong protracted shoulder blades, extending the force of our hands, our energy into our hands. And if you're okay with your wrists being at 90 degrees, the shoulders should be over the wrists. If you need to walk the hands forward a little bit so they're not quite at that 90-degree angle for any sensitive wrists, you can do so. You can always lift up at the knees and walk the knees back, whichever works. But we're engaging our core. We're feeling somewhat of a modified diagonal feeling from the shins all the way to the crown of the head as our shoulders are supporting our upper body weight all the way down to the hands and the shins, from the tailbone all the way down to the shins, supporting the lower weight. And then with an inhale, let's go ahead and tuck the toes, lift up the hips, exhale, press the hips back into down dog. Now you can have your blocks underneath your hands. You can use the chair if you were modifying with that, with the base of the chair. But here, we're staying about 5 breath cycles too. And you can always bend the knees deeply or slightly, but eventually we're getting an upside down V shape, and the heels may or may not reach the floor. But that's all a part of your practice at this point. We're feeling our hips lifting, while from the tailbone down the spine, down the arms to the entirety of your palms, we're feeling an energy downward, as we likewise are feeling an energy from the tailbone, down the thighs, down the heels, to the entirety of the feet. supporting the lower body. 3 points of energy, one moving up in the center and the outer 2 moving downward. And you can here give yourself gentle pulsing up to the tiptoes, to the balls of the feet. You can sway the hips here as well. You can bend one knee and alternate with bending the other knee and straightening it. You can do what feels good. If you feel extra tightness, notice if you need to adjust the stance between the hands. Maybe your hands are not at shoulder width apart. Notice if the stance between the feet are hips distance apart, where the heels are. If you've got contact with the heels to the mat, you might need to pivot in, pigeon toe, just slightly, so you can have an internal rotation to help facilitate this deep upside down V shape. If you're just working with bent knees, that's fine too. Keep lifting up the tailbone, even with the deep bend to the knees. With the next inhale though, we're pretty much done here. Let's go ahead and roll our eyes to the hands and then walk the hands, deep bend to the knees again, if you need, to the back of the mat, to the fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, you can drop the tailbone if you need. Engage your core, come on up and reach up at the top. Lengthening through the legs, engaged glutes. Hands down, heart center. We'll start walking once more. Inhaling, standing away to the left side. Lifting up the right foot. Placing it forward once you have that stability and stepping it forward. Feeling that transfer of weight to the front foot and then setting the left foot forward on the inhale. Take your time, feel how the body is responding. Engage the glutes all the way down to the soles of the feet, the big pad, the pad of the foot, the ball of the foot under the big toe. And at the top of the mat, we'll stop in mountain, looking down at the fingertips, pressing into the palms, lifting the hands, reaching all the way up. Separate the palms and exhale, engaged core. Hinge at the hips, stick the tailbone back. Use whatever you need, the blocks, the chair, or just float on down. And step back a little bit here to another fold. Inhale, half lift. You can use the chair if you'd like. You can use your shins, wherever your hands have contact. Maybe it's the floor. Exhale, fold back. Set the hands to either side of the feet and walk the feet back, bending the knees to your high plank. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists. Feeling that strong diagonal, engaged core. Stick the belly button to the spine. And we're here for about 3 breath cycles. You should be on the balls of the feet and should feel a pressing into the palms. Feel everything supporting the upper body weight at the palms, from the heel to the center of the palm, to the fingertips, in the flesh, in between those finger knuckles as well. Thumbs are on the inside, index and middle fingers pointed towards the top of the mat. And we're pressing, trying to move the shoulder blades away from the spine. We're protracting the shoulder blades away from the spine. And then let's inhale, lift the hips. Exhale, start to hinge at the hips. bringing the hips back into your down dog. And again, you could have your down dog modified with blocks under the hands. Maybe you're on forearms. Got to make sure if you're in that puppy mode of down dog that you have your lower back nice and straight, not highly curved. You can have deep bends to the knees. Do what you need. We're here for a short time, about 3 breath cycles as usual. And we're going to roll our eyes to the hands. Keep the bend to the knees if you need. Exhale, walk the hands to the back of the mat. Fully exhaled in the fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the glutes, engage the tailbone orientation, and lift up at the top. Hands down, heart center. And then one more walking meditation, bringing our left foot standing weight into that left side of the body, lifting the right foot on the inhale and stepping it forward. The bigger the step, the higher the knee, the more challenging. If you could hover in the air for a brief moment, that's another added challenge. If you need to tap down and walk it up, that's fine too. Just get there at your own pace. Depending on what you've been doing, you may notice it now in the body. As you bring that standing weight to the front leg, engaging the glute, engaging the ball of the foot to feel that stability before you draw the back foot forward. And at the top of the mat, we'll look down in mountain, look down at the fingertips, pressing into the palms, having them lift above the head, and separating on the exhale to hinge at the hips for our very last fold. Walk it down, float it down, but hinge at the hips. You may want to make sure that you're pressing into the feet. Don't allow them to roll out. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Internally rotate the thighs back. Exhale, fold once more. And walk the one foot, the other foot. Deep bent knees if you need. Many steps if you need into your high plank. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists. We're in our plank. In the internal rotation of the thighs to help you feel supported at the balls of the feet. Nice long hypotenuse. Making sure if your elbows do bend, they bend towards the back of the mat. So you can feel that protraction of the shoulder blades away from the spine as you extend the arms down into the hands. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. Engage the core. Then inhale, lift the hips. Push on the exhale into down dog. And give yourself another 3 good deep breath cycles. Feel out your dog. Do what feels good to you. See if you can get your U shape, if it is, into more of a V shape. If it's just perfect, breathe where you are. The deep yogic breath in. And the deep breath out. Shoulders away from the ears. And then inhale, look to the hands. Keep a bend to the knees if you need. And walk the hands to the back of the mat. To the fold. Fully exhaled here. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Relax the upper body. And then inhale, engage the core. Step into the feet. Firm up the legs. Engage the glutes. And lift all the way to the top. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. Finally down to the sides. And hopefully you can feel your heart in the heart basket. It's a good time for a drink of water if you feel a little parched. And we'll be moving into a let's see, a balance pose. We're working with making sure we can balance on one leg and then the other. We've been using just a simple mountain transition to standing on one foot. Let's use our tree pose to accomplish our balance for today. And for your tree, you can start with your feet together, but that's more challenging. If you have a more advanced tree that you've been using and you like them together, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll start with a square foot mountain and just start standing away to the right side of the body. Once you can feel that stability, go ahead and inhale, lift the left heel, come up to the ball of the foot, externally rotate that left hip. We're just going to let that pivot outward. And then we can start to walk. We can either stay here or we can walk that ball of foot and rest the left heel on the right ankle. We want to feel that solid column of support while we're opening up on the left hip. Once you have that stability, you should be feeling the right glute engaged all the way down to that leg without hyperextending the knee. If you feel good and stable, bring the hands to heart center. And once more, if you start to fall out, you can always press into the hands, and your core being engaged all throughout will help you stabilize. We're staying for 3 to 5 breath cycles at this point. You can grow out your branches if you like. On the exhale, separate the hands, bring those pinkies inward, and hopefully the stability of the body hasn't changed. You're not rolling out at the legs, at the feet. And if you're just bending in the wind, imagine yourself like a willow tree. Breathing deeply in through the nose, and out through the nose. Gentle tucking of the tailbone under and glutes if you start to feel a little wobbly. Get that core stabilized. And then we can come out, starting with the hands if your branches are up. Bring the hands together. Exhale the hands down. Bring them down to the side. And then we're going to internally rotate the left hip and then let that left heel land softly. And then go ahead, bring both legs, both sides into balance. You might have to do some counter stretching movements. You can shift weight. If you can bring standing weight to the opposite leg, you can always bend that hard working right side leg and either tap out the knee, rotate at the ankle. If you can bring some gentle weight to that left side, you can maybe kick out the foot. Do what feels good. You were just trying to deactivate this right side before we move to the left. And again, depends on where you are in your practice, so see what works for you. Then we'll meet back in our square foot mountain once more. Feel that hopefully more of an upright feeling of our mountain, tail tucked under, bringing the standing weight now to the left side of the body. Just feel that good column of support and a subtle shifting to the left side without jutting out this left hip. If you feel that that stability is there, you should feel all contact with the sole of the left foot before you lift the right heel. Go ahead and bring it into motion by externally rotating the right hip. And then you can stay here if you're still working on balance, or you can start to move the right heel towards the left ankle. Finding that stability before we move on up. Engaged core, hip, a left hip all the way down to the heel. Follow that left foot as well as the entire sole of the foot just glued to the mat. Bring the hands to heart center. And for the next 3 to 5 breath cycles, breathe. You can grow out your branches on the inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, separate the arms. All the while, that slow yogic breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Engaging the core at the bottom of the exhale. And after the last exhale, if your hands are up, we'll go ahead and bring the hands together on the inhale. Exhale the hands down heart center and release to the side. And then let's inhale that right hip internally rotating back so we can land our right heel and bring even balance to both sides of the body. Okay, and the same thing here. If you've got tension, if you've got activation on the left leg, do what needs to be done to release that. I like to ankle roll. I've noticed sometimes it just snaps into place, and that ankle roll in one direction and then the opposite really helps to relieve that tension, to release it. Alrighty. Then we're going to make our way down to the mat. So if you have need of the blocks or a chair, if you have your special way of getting down onto the belly, we'll go ahead and meet there. And for me, I'm practicing my squats. So I'm going to just fold, come into a squat. Now, if you have a bony hip or if you have a rib cage that will benefit from having some extra cushioning, I highly recommend bringing your folded blanket over to rest. We can bring our tops of the ankles, the insteps, onto the mat. But if you're not used to that and you find your arches start to cramp, you can always rest on the tips of the toes. But we do want to try to get some opening there. That's the ankle, top of the ankle tends to be a place that we're in a flexion. We're just folding a lot there. So extending that, opening it up feels really good. And then bringing our belly, taking off any glasses if you need. And have the strap nearby because we will move into bow eventually. And you may need that. Give yourself just a little bit of time here on the belly. You can rock from side to side. You can just rest a moment here. Apple of one cheek on there or with the nose and the mouth just gently supported. And what we'll do here is start to bring the arms out to this side. Bringing the palms on to face upwards about 6 inches or so away from the hips. And then we can start to widen the stance between the legs, just a little wider than the hips, but not too much more. And you don't have to if that's not speaking to you. But if you can lengthen through the legs, you'll engage your glutes, start to lengthen down the legs, like your legs are growing down the mat. And the arms are kind of relaxed. More of the shoulder and the torso and the belly is supporting the body as you're lengthening the limbs downward. Engaged core. See if you can firm up those thighs. Calves are slightly engaged. And then relax. Just let everything melt back into the mat. Turn the gaze to the other side. If you're on the apple of one cheek, let the opposite cheek rest now. Give yourself a breath or two. Fully soft, relaxed belly. And then engage the core. Press gently into the chest so you can turn the gaze. And once more, rest your nose and your mouth gently on the mat. We're going to once more lengthen the legs downward and give yourself a little more effort now in the arms as well. And turn the palms downward. And we're going to gently see about keeping that energy, lengthening the legs, and then lift the left leg entirely from the hip all the way down to the toe, one unit. And it doesn't have to lift high. You may not even lift much or at all, but just give yourself that intention. You'll use the palms of the hands all the way up the arms to the shoulders, as well as the other leg perhaps, as a sort of counterbalance as you lift that left limb. And then gently let that foot, then the rest of the leg come on down. Relax the glutes, turn the gaze to the opposite side, apple of the cheek, or maybe even closer to the skin of the ear on that side of the face. And relax. Let the shoulders just melt into the mat. You can once more see if you're holding on to tension in those legs by just simply rocking the hips side to side. And then breathe deeply in and out. Inhale, press into the chest, engage the core, turn the gaze back to the mat. We're going to lengthen the legs once more, palms down. And this time, as we engage the entire right leg as one unit, see if you can lift starting at the top of the foot. And then see if you can lift it high enough to your ability, best ability. Use your other 3 limbs as a counter if you need to. See if you can lift all the way to the knee being up, but you're engaging the glute all the way to the toes. One entire unit to lift the leg. Breathing deep in and out. And then exhale. Let the foot and then the rest of the leg just come on down gently. Release the glutes. And here you can bend the knees and roll the ankles. You can roll them together in one direction or in opposite directions. Do what feels good, but try to release through the legs, through the glutes, by just simply rolling at the ankles. Wiggle your toes too if you'd like. And then we'll let the feet gently come back down to the mat. If you have need of a strap, you can bring that now. But we're going to go into our bow position, keeping the face gently supported on the mat by the nose, the mouth, the gentle chin. If you're using the strap, bend the knees once more. Feel that lengthening of the thighs downward. And then you can see if you can hook the strap onto the insteps of the feet, maybe the ankles, maybe the shins. If you don't need the strap, and you can get a hold of your ankles or the tops of your feet, the insteps, or maybe it's the material of your leggings. But we want to get a hold of something, just gently resting our arms there, because your arms will just be like a gentle added weight to help you bring the heels closer to the buttocks. Relax, just allow this opening at the hips, at the knees. Give yourself a breath or two. And then we're keeping our face back at the mat if you turn the gaze like I did, but keeping ourselves there. Now we're going to engage the core. We're going to lengthen through the thighs. See as if your knees are lengthening down the mat. Because we're in this bent knee position, just lengthen from the pelvis all the way down to the knees. And then you should feel the feet kind of in your hands if you have a hold of the insteps, or you should feel some pressure against the strap or whatever you're holding on to kind of, push into that hold. Your arms are not really activating much. It's just the glutes activating and the thighs lengthening. And we're coming into a bow. If you'd like to go a little further, you can inhale, press more into the feet, and have the lengthening of the arms and shoulders, still relaxed, but the feet applying pressure to help lift the shoulders slightly above the mat. And the higher you can lift your knees and your shoulders, the deeper your bow, but you're not engaging the lower back. It's really more of the glutes and the feet that are applying the pressure to help bring you into bow. And then exhale, let everything slowly melt back into the mat. Release the legs, release the hands. And turn the gaze to the other side. And just let the belly feel soft. Okay, it sounds like we are in time for Shavasana. So next, go ahead and roll onto your back or find your way onto the back best that you can if you have a special way. Some people like to do a reverse push-up, coming into a tabletop. Some people like to just bring their arm above and roll onto their back and kind of inch their way, shoulder, then hips, shoulders, and hips, or hips and shoulders, but coming back onto the mat in your preferred fashion. I'm going to be sitting up to mind the time, but as we enter Shavasana, allow the body to just feel open on your back, or if it feels better, if there's compression in the lower back, bend the knees, let them knock in, and kind of rest that way. You can put blocks underneath the knees if you'd like. You can have a rolled up blanket underneath the lower lumbar. You can cover up. You can let the legs just relax down the mat and then let the feet just roll away from each other just naturally. However your supine Shavasana state is, we're just letting the body relax and respond to today's practice. Let the belly be soft. If the arms are nice and relaxed at the side and the palms are up, that may feel good on the shoulders. But you can orient the palms to whichever way helps you. As you're relaxing, if your mind should start to think about things, just acknowledge it and let it go with the breath. And all we're going to do is allow the body to respond for the next 5 minutes. And when you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken. Bringing the mind back to the body. Noticing sounds outside the room. And finally, back to the breath. Connecting to the body once more. Make any movements, any rocking action. We'll meet in an upright seated position and finish class with our breath of fire to help bring a little more energy and a little balance to our bodies. Okay, so sitting upright, feeling that sits bone stability, the spine up, crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. We're going to use our breath of fire on 20 for 20 times, inhaling deeply and then just shooting it out 20 times. The last one, holding on to that breath as we let all the air out, and for about 3 or 4 breath cycles, just letting it kind of simmer in there. Chin tucked and the perineum kind of engaged, so you have this lock of energy from the chin down to the pelvic area. So breathing in deeply and then starting to exhale, pumping the belly. Fully exhaled, tuck the chin, lift up at the pelvic floor, and hold the breath. And then release. We'll do that one more time, inhaling deeply through pursed lips, shooting out. Fully exhaled, chin tucked, hold the pelvic floor. And then release. Let the breath be natural. And bringing the hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC's Community Room for Gentle Yoga. I hope you have a wonderful day. Namaste.